Cheating is usually a symptom of an unhealthy relationship, but our guests say it also can be something that saves your marriage when you come to the crisis point where you have to decide what you're going to do. Welcome back, psychotherapist Angelina Rodriguez, counselor Maya J., and Michael Moore, author of Cheat to Save Your Marriage. We talked about cheating earlier in the way that most people think of it, and that somebody is emotionally invested or sexually invested in somebody else. But cheating can come in many different forms. There are people who spend a lot of time at work when really they don't have to spend that much time at work.
Yeah, those things are called escapism. So, you know, when you're in a relationship, you have to have levels of awareness. Where am I spending all my time? Am I at the office, or am I out playing golf every afternoon, playing tennis, or am I on the computer watching television or even reading? Those are all different forms of escapisms. And you've got to be able to have like a compass that tells you, this is not healthy for me. I'm actually escaping from some intimacy with my partner.
Right.
And you can also be cheating sitting right there with your partner.
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, you have your phone in front of you, you're not paying attention, and that's, of course, not making an effort. So that is cheating as well.
It's interesting, we have more ways to communicate today than ever before, but it seems like we don't really communicate with people right with us as much.
It's a lot safer to do that behind a computer. You don't have to be that intimate and vulnerable. So it's important to be able to have those awarenesses, and if you're on the other side of that, be able to talk to your partner without shaming or blaming. Once you start shaming and blaming your partner, that definitely is going to pull up some barriers and walls to communication.
Yeah.
It's like the stories in my book. Each story is 12 stories of men and women that are cheating for different purposes. After each story, there's questions that you can ask and communicate with your partner.
Questions like?
Like, say, for instance, why did he cheat? Was he wrong for that? Just say, for instance, that me and you are married, and we're talking about this person in the book. Well, actually, I'm really talking about you, but just through this person in this book.
Yeah.
So it's a way to kind of talk about and get those issues resolved without coming at the person attacking them.
And being very honest. I mean, you look at the Tiger Woods situation, and, you know, none of us really know for sure what the issue really was there. I have several friends who are therapists who all weighed in on it, and one said, you know what? He got married too young. He wasn't done, okay? He just got married too young. Another one says, you know, no, it goes back to feeling not worthy, and that's when you get into the sex addict definition of trying to get your worth and validation through how many people I can sleep with, which says, oh, you must love me, you must care about me.
Well, I think a lot of people, what happens is, athletes and businessmen, they find themselves needing a foundation. And marriage serves that foundation. Okay, I got this foundation, I can go out here and do this and do that, but I still have a safe base to come back home to.
Yeah. In fact, we had somebody in the audience here who had a comment on what you felt about cheating.
Definitely, Deborah. I think it's a matter of those that do cheat, just cheat to try to get away with what they can cheat.
So kind of that boundaries thing that we try to teach our children. Like you say, you know, kids will push back because they want you to discipline them and show them where the boundaries are. So is there some sense in that? People get away with what they think they can get away with?
Well, they think they can, absolutely. But I think it's about, you know, where is your character and where is your integrity with yourself? And if you are doing these things to get negative attention, then maybe you need to look at that and look to see what's going on with my life. Where else am I getting negative attention and acting out?
Yeah, and do we put too much emphasis on sex? Because you mentioned earlier, sometimes it's somebody who shops a lot and tries to hide what they buy. So it's not necessarily sex, it's the thing that they're doing. Whatever they're obsessed with to get away from you or hide something or make themselves feel better is the issue.
That's right. It could be sex, drugs, alcohol, porn, you name it. Anything else that's going to give you that high. And so you're basically having a relationship with those items, those things, not the actual person.
All right, Michael, how did you finally pull it back together? Because I'm sure it was a cycle you had to go through. I mean, there's anger, there's sadness, there's all those things, and then the realization, what are we going to do now?
Well, like I said, just get to a breaking point, and my breaking point, I was like, I'm gone. And what happens, I found myself involved with this situation. I'm like, when I evaluated myself, I'm like, I don't need to be over here. There's a lot of people that are missing me. My kid is missing me. My nieces and nephews are missing me. My aunts are missing me with the backyard barbecues. So all those things was my decision, like, whoa. And then, you know, they say the cliche, the other side of the fence is not always greener. Well, yeah, it's mud over there.
The grass is not always green on the other side. You found some mud.
Yeah,
initially you may feel okay.
Right, but, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm going to deal with my monster, I'm going to deal with my monster. I'm not going to deal with two monsters. And that's how I realized that this is why now.
Not to mention that monster can follow you if you still don't learn how to communicate.
Oh, of course.
You know, even in that new relationship. So how did you all save it?
What happened was that when I left, she realized what she wasn't doing. I realized what I wasn't doing, because it wasn't just her fault either. It was my fault also. And so we had some counseling together, sat down, and we started communicating without the high tones, pitching and cursing, or whatever the case may be. And we got it together, and I mean, we've been smooth sailing ever since.
Yeah, and restoring the trust, that's the hard part, because once you forgive, you got to forgive and let it go. I know some people, it's just very hard, because you can be 5 minutes late home. It's like, well, where were you? Where were you? You're 5 minutes late. It's like, well, I couldn't have gotten that done in 5 minutes. So,
well, no,
you know.
I mean, with the trust issue-wise, I've never had that problem at all.
You probably,
I've never had the problem of being,
yeah,
you know,
because she forgave and said, let's move forward.
And being accusatory is a trust issue,
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, being accusatory.
It's
yeah,
a trust issue,
exactly.
one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that could be some old wounds. That could be maybe you were raised in a family where one of your parents stepped out or was unfaithful. So you've got to be able to look at some of those things as, could those have been triggers for me?
Yeah.
And am I having a difficult time letting go of this, even though you've owned it and we've decided, let's move forward? Why am I holding on to this resentment? Why am I keeping myself prisoner of this memory?
All right. At the altar is not the time to find out your significant other does not want children. At the altar is not the time to find out they've been married 5 times before. And at the altar is not the time to find out they are devout members of a secret cult that does sacrifices and they're not willing to share your religious views. Exploring the phrase equally yoked when we come back.